Swan is here to explain the internet. Greg, it's good to see you.
Oh my gosh, I made it through the fog.
You made it through. You survived the
We
great
made
fog.
it through the feeds, and I want to talk about automating your life today.
All right, so you experienced really one of the promising aspects of AI with just a little widget that you plugged into your smartphone, right?
Absolutely. So when you buy a refrigerator from GE or Samsung or whatever, they don't really tell you how you can use the product. They don't care as long as it's not illegal, right?
Right.
And we're seeing a rise of those sorts of things with AI where you can use AI in lots of different ways. And as long as it's not illegal, you can use it in however you want.
Sure.
So in this case, I love to experiment. I love to use myself as a test case for new and emerging tech and figure out what's going on.
I'm very jealous of this, mainly because I presume that you're able to write off like everything you ever buy.
There is definitely some investment that is needed. So, for example, I hooked a chip into my car that tweeted every trip I made and said where I was going and where I parked. And clearly there's a safety issue there, but that was a different time. I had one of the first ever USB cameras that I hooked up in my living room. So the idea that you could be at an event and you could look outside of your house, that was a new thing, way before the idea of a Ring doorbell. And there are also privacy implications to those. And so what I like to do is experiment with that and push myself to the point where I'm like, oh, I don't like that anymore, and then share those learnings with other people. So in this case, and for those of us watching on the stream or on the video, I'm going to hold it up. It's a little chip, a little black widget that plugs into the bottom of your phone. It's called Blue, the Blue AI chip. And what it does is it essentially gives you a ChatGPT for your entire phone. It gives you control to automate anything a thumb could do on your entire phone across all of your apps in a way that maybe it's more a realized Siri of what we've always wanted it to do, but it also means that you can hook together anything, and maybe anything isn't always the best.
Because the reality is, like, when you think about like Siri or even like the Google automated assistant, Gemini or whatever, using a Samsung phone or a Google phone, it requires a lot of work on our part where you're like, okay, do I have to tell it specifically like open mail, send this, compose to who, subject this. This AI... well, you just demonstrated it to me. You asked Blue to, so you open the Blue app. Is that what you hit?
Yeah, well, there's a Siri call where you could say, "Hey, Blue."
So you called to Blue and said, "Find a funny cat video on TikTok and text it to Jason DeRusha."
And then I can close my phone and it will open TikTok. It will search for cat, funny cat. It will find a video. It will copy that URL. Now it will open the Messages app. Now it will send it all autonomously. And you're right. You can automate a lot of things on our phone right now. And Apple has the Shortcuts app where you can schedule a text to go every single day at a certain time. But crossing apps is different. And so what did I do? I created a schedule. So at 3:30 in the morning, Blue unlocks my phone. It has the code to my phone. And it would delete my unread message or delete my
screenshots or trash.
It would delete screenshots.
Yeah.
It would go into LinkedIn and approve all of my pending LinkedIn notifications. It would open Facebook and write happy birthday on the walls of everyone whose birthday is that day. And at 3:30 in the afternoon, I had it go to YouTube, search for funny cat videos, and text them to my 16-year-old son. Now,
which seems kind of funny and or annoying.
Absolutely. So was he immediately like, "What are you doing, Dad?" Yes, he was. Right. And also, what I learned through this experiment is there are things that I'd love to automate, like going through receipts and filing expense reports, things that are not a good use of human brain. There are things that are maybe not as great to automate, things like texting your own kid. Maybe we shouldn't outsource that.
Right.
And how about wishing happy birthday to someone? This is not necessarily a task or a chore. This is literally my human self wanting to say happy birthday to someone else. And
Did you realize that in the moment that you were outsourcing something that had like fundamental humanity to it?
No, maybe, but for the sake of the experiment, I suspended that. I didn't quite go there.
Yeah.
And so the outcome of
Because
that,
I don't want to
Yeah.
dwell on this too much, but I am sort of obsessed with the happy birthday function of Facebook.
Yeah.
Where I believe that it is one of the best things about Facebook, and one of the happiest days of my year is not because it's my birthday, it's because all these people come out of the woodwork and show that like they cared enough even to spend 10 seconds that they gifted me that much of their thought.
Absolutely.
It's so good.
So what if you found out that due to a $200 chip, or this will most likely be baked into these platforms,
Yeah.
that was automated?
Oh, I'd be so mad.
That feels
disappointed.
bad.
Yes.
And even though you can do it, even though you can automate things and let AI take over, should you? And that is the
Yeah.
experiment here, where
Yeah.
we're essentially outsourcing humanity one click at a time.
It felt uncomfortable to you once you realized it, or when did it feel like, all right, like I can't, I enjoy doing this, I don't want to offload it?
There was a moment where in a different text thread that I had automated something, and someone said, wow, 3 days in a row, like, you're really on fire. And I said, I have a confession. I am using an AI chip to do this. And they said, I hate this. And we had a discussion. And then they said, have you been doing that this whole time? Like, for years?
Oh.
And I said, oh, no, I swear to God, that's me. And now I've put myself in an uncomfortable position. Again, I do this for the listeners, Jason.
Sort of
This
heartbreaking,
is a service
right?
that I
Like,
provide.
your friend was truly like, had that moment of like, is this all just,
Yeah.
is this real?
Yeah. And I said, I got to tell you, I regret this. And this was a line. And I found the line. And it turns out there are red lines that we shouldn't cross as humans. And again, this is a service that I provide
What a
for our
gift.
listeners.
Yes, a true, like, a giver.
But I do think I'm not using Blue for human to human things right now.
Okay.
I've introduced risk by giving software the code to my phone. It could essentially open my bank account. It could do a lot of things. And so I'm not using that function anymore.
Other things that sort of didn't work out the way you had wanted them to?
Yeah, I think that maybe adding anyone on LinkedIn was not the right move, because I let a bunch of vendors in, and I work at a
Hey,
big agency that wants to try to sell me stuff.
Like, hey, yeah.
And so you can see where there's downsides
the
of
hiring
those things.
manager?
And I just hadn't thought through all of the things. It was so easy to automate it. And then on the backside, you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have given away that part, that maybe building my own network on LinkedIn is actually something. And I'm sure there are people who are listening to this and they're like, of course, stupid. Like, of course. But it was so easy to start to knit together these simple things without having to know how to code, without having to know, install a special app and all that sort of thing. And I think, with what's happening in Washington and with the Department of War right now, we are seeing Anthropic and OpenAI say there is a red line. We should not automate mass surveillance. We should not automate taking of lives in war. And the truth is, the second that you can automate something, in my experience, you do until you overstep. And I think that what we're seeing in the news and playing out right now is people looking ahead and saying, maybe we shouldn't overstep.
Greg Swan is with us. It is, part of what I find fascinating here is that for most of us who don't work in a job where, like, I know everyone thinks AI is going to take over everything. And there are parts of my life where, like, maybe it would be easier if AI could efficiently read every new article on the internet and suggest things that would fit in the style of my show. Like, that would be very helpful. But outside of that, like, a lot of what I do is sort of infused with my personality. It's hard to offload it. I think a lot of our listeners are like, I don't know, like, I understand the fear. I'm a little afraid of it. But, like, AI is not, we never jumped in on Siri. We
Sure.
never, I'm not using the shortcuts necessarily.
Yeah, maybe I had an Amazon Echo to start, but Alexa wasn't helpful in my kitchen, and I don't have that anymore.
Now I just use the timer. Like, that's what I use Alexa for.
And also, it's come out, Facebook, Meta, the parent company of Facebook, has a patent, and they've been working on creating clones based on Facebook profiles so that your loved one could continue to post after they pass away. That's not something I'm interested in. And also, that is technology that is being built. And so it's fascinating when we start thinking about how these technologies can start to hit the most human parts of who we are. Well, we're maybe haven't even just felt that that was a human thing I needed to protect. It didn't occur to me before that my happy birthday to Dan and Jason on their birthdays, I know that it's meaningful to you because I know it's meaningful to me. I was able to quickly outsource that to a task to make sure I didn't miss it. I don't want to miss it. But also then I took out the best part, which is that I'm thinking about you and that then you receive that another human thought about you.
All right. I want to talk a little bit because you raised the issue with the Department of Defense, Department of War. There has been quite a bit of controversy over AI and its role there, and should Congress act, and what, I guess I'm curious how you interpret all of this as to what sort of the market and what regular people are saying when it comes to the use of AI. So we'll do that in just a minute. Greg Swan visits with us every month. You can subscribe to his Substack. It's called Social Signals, and you just search Greg Swan at Substack, and you can get to that. More with Greg in just a minute here on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha. Video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
All right, you can't outsource the arms wide out. You can't AI Chris Lindahl, I'll tell you that. Do you want to AI? I don't know, actually, if anyone would AI themselves. I know Chris Lindahl pretty well. I could see him coming up with some sort of AI bit. It's Jason here. Always happy to talk about Chris. I've known him for a long time. You know him for the billboards. You know outsized personality. What's funny when you get to know Chris is that real life Chris is well, he's still pretty outsized. Like, let's be real. But it's way more muted than you would expect. But what he is always focused on is creative people, innovative ideas, and how to bring the most out of his team so he can give back and be generous. One of his core principles is being generous. The innovative side of this has been the biggest surprise to me about the guaranteed cash offer, which you can get at chrislindahl.com. I always thought that the kind of people who want to take a guaranteed cash offer are people who need to be done with a house fast. Maybe you have a job change, you're moving to another city, maybe you inherit a house, maybe there's a divorce or a family situation that has you needing to get money or get out. Over the last year, there's been a shift. More and more people who normally would have gone on the open market are saying, this way of selling a house is broken, and I don't want to deal with it. My time is worth more than the extra little money I'd eke out by selling the old way. Especially in the winter, you want to go on the open market? I don't think so. Get a big red check from Chris Lindahl. See if it makes sense for you. Go to the website. It is chrislindahl.com.